Hi folks, hope you're okay today. I'm just having a bit of fun on the other video. Um, just to say that really delighted about the Leave vote, and you know, it was a surprise. I thought the vote was going to be Remain, so it was great to see that Britain has come out of Europe. Secondly, there are internet trolls out there who say the most vilest and vicious things out there. Um, so judgmental. Um, I visited two people today. One person in a hospital made a pastoral visit, and then another person who's in the home who's blind. Um, People can judge you. These internet trolls out there can judge you, but they don't know the kind of good things that people do. They're mean and nasty, and if you listen to these people and you take no to these people, then you are that kind of person. But they can say the most vicious, nasty, horrible things. And you know, people commit suicide because of these kind of people, because they say horrible, nasty, mean things. And you know, just get a life. If you have got such a fantastic, exciting life, why do you watch my videos and why do you make comments? You know, if your life is so fantastic and so brilliant, why do you waste your time watching my videos or making comments? You know, you are mean, nasty, and the comments that you make are absolutely disgusting. Um, and you're cowards. You're total cowards. You can't. You gang up on people. You gang up on people on YouTube, and you go around and you abuse people. And one day you'll get your comeuppance. One day, you know, something will happen in your life, and you realise, you know, I shouldn't have been saying those kind of things. So, God bless you. Have a lovely day, whoever you are, when you're saying the cruel things that you do. But just get a life. Do something more productive rather than judging other people. Um, yeah, so that's to internet trolls out there. I just want to share some books that I've read. Some I've read, some I'm reading through, and I hope that they'll be an interest to you. I've read this book by Alistair McGrath. He's a professor of historical theology at Oxford University, and he's director of the Oxford Seminars on Science and Christianity. Basically, it's a philosophical foundation for science, and it's a really interesting read, actually. He's quite big on looking at creation and the importance of creation and its basis for science. And he's very good on the philosophy of science in terms of looking at what he would call critical realism. And really, this book is a synopsis of 3 volumes. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to give a Christian philosophical basis for science, saying that we can know reality, but from a critical realist perspective. And I think a critical realist perspective is that we can engage with reality, but not completely in its essence, but we can in its essence, but with modification. I think that's kind of critical realism. It's a very enjoyable read, and it's a very in-depth look at various philosophers and thinkers on the area of the philosophy of science, and it's a delightful read. He's quite adept at science. He studied at a high academic level science. I think he mentions that. I think it might have been biology or chemistry, one of those that he studied. And The 3-volume scientific theology are written in the assumption that its readers are familiar with the theological, philosophical, scientific issues being addressed. So it is for the more well-read theologian or practitioner in science, because it's trying to look at, to refine a philosophical and theological foundation for the sciences. It's a really good read. And I'm not saying I agree with it, but it is an interesting read. I like it where he spends a lot of time critiquing Karl Barth on Karl Barth's rejection of seeing the importance of creation and how that relates to a knowledge of God. Another book by David Miller, Critical Rationalism, a Restatement and Defense by David Miller. He teaches philosophy at the University of Warwick and editor of Karl Popper Selections in 1985. And basically it's looking at Karl Popper and the problem of induction. And I don't think it solves, I don't think it really solves, I don't think Karl Popper solves the problem of induction. What that means what that means is that we verify our scientific information, but comes a point when we can't. There's always a limit to our knowledge. There's always a point at which we can't verify our experience, and that is what I would call the problem of induction. I mean, it's more technical and complicated than that, but basically, experience only takes us so far. And so how do you really know that something is scientifically verifiable? Because there comes a point where any scientific theory is limited in its knowledge, and could be overturned by new knowledge. So at what point is it actually a theory that can be substantiated? And so Karl Popper comes up with the idea of if it cannot be falsified. But I think it's just a different way of looking at verification. It's another way of looking at how we verify a theory. That's all it is, but in a different way, looking at it from a different perspective. But even though it's a different perspective, it's still the same. It's still actually the same. So it's still the same as verification. Falsification is still the same as verification, but just a different word, and it doesn't solve the problem of induction. That's what I think. So, but it's an interesting read. I've only read a quarter of the book on it, not even that, but I just read, since our aim is to shape the body of scientific knowledge that is contained as many truths and few falsehoods as possible, to the greatest it's important that the expulsion procedure should be brought into play at every possible opportunity. Open admission would be a foolish policy if it were not complemented by a rigorous campaign of permanent degradation. Particularly dangerous is the verification as trickery of emphasizing good points and disregarding bad ones, which sometimes used to maintain an untrustworthy but favored student in stato pupillari. For a critical analysis of the most arresting example of recent years, see Freeman, 1983. Popper's methodology accordingly insists that if we are seriously searching for truth, we should submit any hypotheses proposed to the most searching biology criticism, in the hope that if it is false, it will reveal itself as false. Excuse me. So I don't think it solves the problem of verification. This book by Susan Neiman, The Unity of Reason, is Susan Neiman is an associate professor of philosophy at Tel Aviv University, and her first book was Slow Fire Jewish Notes from Berlin, is awarded. So basically what she's trying to do is trying to come up with some kind of understanding of what Kant was thinking about concerning reason. Um, one writer has said, Neyman's book takes seriously the suggestion that the notion of reason must have some consistent unity throughout the critical works, and in successive sections on the historical background, epistemology, the moral philosophy, the role of faith, and Kant's conception of philosophy, she seeks to identify that unity. Each of the sections could be used as a self-standing commentary on the relevant material, and she is the philosophical guide of the best tradition. I like to read some academics like this every now and again, just to give you a feel of what's happening in the philosophical world. And it's a very scholarly work, and I find these kind of works fascinating. So I recommend that. I thought last year I thought a lot about the role of reason concerning the Enlightenment, and that's an ongoing project of studying and thinking. This is a book by Oxford University Press, The Philosophy of Mind, and it's a source book of classic contemporary readings, and it's by David J. Chalmers, and it's a very interesting look at a variety of literature on the hypotheses that animals are automata and its history, Thomas Huxley, Passions of the Soul, René Descartes, Gilbert Ryle, Descartes Myth, Psychology and Philosophical Language, Rudolf Carnap, Hilary Putnam, Brains and Behavior, Mechanism and its Alternatives, C.D. Broad, Mental Events, Donald Davidson. So it's got a massive selection of academics on the philosophy of mind. I've been going over again Seitan Brugengate's videos quite a lot, and just making notes on those debates and discussions he's had. And then this is kind of like filling in more the academic background on some of those discussions. So those are just some of the things I'm reading. Recently I did a major study on the Apostle Paul, and you can go and listen to that lecture on my channel. Just type in Jason Burns on YouTube and you'll be able to go and watch that. Don't forget my website is jasonburnspreacher.com, jasonburnspreacher.com, jasonburnspreacher.com. Today I was out just doing evangelism, and we had a nice day. There was about 4 of us, and just gave quite a few tracts out today. And I came back and did some visiting, visited 1 or 2, like 2 people who needed a bit of encouragement today. So thank you for all your support. Thank you for all your prayers, and I value your prayers and your support. I thank you for the money that's been given me. I was given quite a bit of money over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Quite a lot of money, really. I don't want to say how much, but there was quite a lot of money given to me. We're not talking 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, but there's quite a lot more than that, given to me over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I really appreciate the money that's been donated to me, and so I thank you for the finances that have been coming in. Pray for me. I'm feeling really tired. I don't know if I need a holiday. I have been preaching my heart out. I've been absolutely pouring my heart out, preaching, and being battered blue, punched, kicked, threatened the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I think it's just taken its toll on me. I feel really drained and tired. I thank God for the team that God has given me. He's given me such a good, wonderful people who are praying and who come and support me. And so I thank God for that. So I'm reading quite a bit in my studies on the Gospel of John. I've been doing a Bible study series on the Gospel of John. We're in chapter 16 next week. And that's been tremendous. Really, really enjoyed getting into the studying of the Word of God. It's been really, really good. And I've started a series on the book of Romans on a Sunday, and that's going well. And I really enjoy doing the research and the study and preaching. But I value your prayers. I'm feeling drained, feeling tired. I think because of the wars that I've been through the last 3 or 4 weeks on the streets, and the fact that I've just given my, preaching in the open air is very, very draining. Preaching in a church for an hour is quite draining. But to preach in the open air, not for an hour, but for like 3 hours, up to some days 5 hours where I've preached. Just to do that a few days a week, let alone most days, is very, very draining. And it's just, I think it's taken a lot out of me recently. So pray that, God would renew me and give me strength to continue to serve Him. And I just value your prayers. I just pray that God would guide me, God would lead me, and yeah. So God bless you. Have a lovely day. Nothing else to report really. If you go on my website, jasonburnspreacher.com, there's a link to, at the top of the page, there's a link to various resources. And there's a link to Heritage Reformed Church. And if you go on their website, you can get a magazine called Sovereign Grace or something. And you can download the PDF of those magazines. And I was reading them the other day. And there were some excellent articles in there. I read about 4 or 5 different issues over like a 6-month period in just a few days. And their articles were really excellent, so solid. They have articles that are, I think, I'll see if I can, I'll just see if I can get it. I don't know if I can get it, but I'll see. Yeah, so it's jasonburnspreacher.com. jasonburnspreacher.com. So let's see if I can get it. That's the website. So try again. So if you go to the Heritage Reformed Church, www.heritagereformed.com, www.heritagereformed.com, and then if you Google to The Banner of Sovereign Grace Truth. The Banner of Sovereign Grace Truth. You can link into information there. You can link into information there on Read the Magazine. I'll see if I can get it on this. Screen share. Here he is. I wish we could get it. It's not coming on for some reason. Yeah, it's not for some reason it's not coming on there. But if you go to www.heritagereformed.com and then Google down to the bottom, Banner of Sovereign Grace Truth. Let's see if we can get it on PDF. I was reading these articles the other day and they were so solid, so full of substance. Yeah, I want to say the video that I did before, the Peasant Revolt, I was just having a bit of fun. I was just being silly there. I'm being serious now. So, for those of you thinking, well, what's going on? So let's see if I can get this, please. It's not doing it. I don't know why. Just turn off the camera. Nope. Sorry about that, folks. No, it's not coming on. I don't know why. Anyhow, the Banner of Sovereign Grace Truth. You can get it PDF. An excellent resource. Loads of couple of years of publishing there and really helpful material. And got some great classic writers like Gerardo Voss, and then you've got some really wonderful articles by people like Joel Beakey, Derek Thomas, Jeff Thomas. There was a wonderful article by Jeff Thomas on B.B. Warfield. It was a real delight to read it. It really was. How B.B. Warfield's wife. In fact, I'm going to make a video about that now. How B.B. Warfield's wife was not well, and how he, as a theologian, would always be with her, helping her, comforting her. You know. So, all right. Take care. God bless. Have a lovely day and value your prayers. God bless you.